Hello? Who? Oh, Sam. Yeah, hold on just 1 second. It's the guy with your book. What shall I do?
Talk to him. Pretend like you're someone who'd go out with me.
Okay, I'll try. Hello? Hello? Oh, yes, I'm back. Silly me. I was just talking into the wrong end of the receiver. Oh, yes, I'm wearing a miniskirt and, my French cut panties. I'm just not a real good skater. Listen, now, maybe you could meet me someplace else. Have you ever heard of a bar called Cheers? Uh-huh. Good. Well, then why don't you come over here right now, and please hurry. It's hot, and I don't know how much longer I can keep my clothes on.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
All right, welcome to a very special podcast. This is the podcast where we watch your favorite television series of yesteryear and then discuss them over an adult beverage, I guess is what we'll call it.
Yeah, that's probably the best answer.
And tonight, I'll be double fisting some green tea and a glass of red wine. I can't remember what it was, though, to be honest with you.
I am sitting here with a giant Broncos cup full of ice water with raspberry lemonade water enhancer.
I was reading when we first started doing the podcast, it was like podcast secrets, and I was like, you should always drink something that is room temperature. And we're both breaking that rule tonight because I have a hot glass of green tea and you have ice water.
I break that rule all the time. Whenever I have water, it has to be ice cold. Even though, let's see, the Android says it is 28 degrees. No, it's got to be colder than that because it's later. It's updating. It's 25 degrees outside right now, and I'm drinking ice water.
Welcome to January. In case this is the first time you've ever listened to the podcast, my name is Patrick M. Dunn. You can find me at a very special podcast.tumblr.com, which will springboard to everything that I'm involved with. You can also find all of our previous episodes there, plus some other fun articles and recipes and just whatever random stuff we decide to throw up on there. And I'm joined here, as I have been for the last, I don't know, maybe 15 or 16 episodes or so. Kat Halstead, the author. You know her from books and the podcast and a million other things.
Maybe not. I'm a woman of mystery when I'm not wrapped up in the madness that is this podcast.
Yes, it is a very time-consuming podcast because not only do I watch the TV show that we pick each week 3 times, I also rigorously write notes.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, Kat is our fact checker, so she is always sleuthing on the internet, searching for fun facts and tidbits.
Random little bits of trivia when I can.
And tonight, we decided to break back into must-see TV. I believe this is not our first time at the rodeo for must-see TV. The Cosby Show was originally on must-see TV, I believe, correct?
I think so. I don't know if it was called must-see TV, though. Was it?
Well, I'm thinking Thursday night. That's pretty much what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Thursday night. Well, the thing is, NBC kind of used that as must-see TV for several different nights.
Oh, did they?
Back when they were, big with their comedies. Back before their comedies were all like they are now.
Yeah, I just thought it was their name for their Thursday sitcoms. So it was their wheelhouse for everything they did.
Yeah, like well, not for everything. Like Thursday is like your main must-see TV night, and then they would like kind of branch out. Like when they had Mad About You move to Monday night, or they had other evenings that had like blocks of comedies. It was basically, I think, the must-see TV was their comedy lineup. So it'd be like must-see TV Tuesday night.
And Thursday night was a night delegated to their heavy hitters,
Yes.
such as The Cosby Show and the show we're doing tonight. So everybody, if you haven't read the episode description yet, throw on your dancing shoes, your Ted dancing shoes, and we're going to take a trip to a bar where everybody knows your name. Cheers!
The greatest bar in the world.
I have the pleasure of living in the same state of where the bar is located and the entire series had taken place. Boston.
Yes. Wait, is Boston a state or a city, Pat?
Well, you know what I mean.
I'm
It's a state capital. All right, so what is your familiarity with Cheers? Were you a long-time watcher?
I cannot remember a point in time when I did not watch Cheers.
Okay.
Like, I remember watching it when I was a kid. I remember watching it as a teenager, in college. Even now, I will put it on the Netflix or the TiVo or whatever.
So the show begat in 1982, about a year after I was sprung into the universe. And it lasted for 11 years. Is it 11 seasons or 12 seasons?
Yeah, 11 seasons.
All the way to 1993 when I was just blossoming into a teenager.
Me making that awkward journey.
Now, were you more of a Diane or a Rebecca era?
I definitely prefer the Rebecca era.
I liked the Look Who's Talking movies.
Yeah, I think that's why I like.
I related to Rebecca more than Shelley Long character. And like, I honestly don't really remember too much of the Shelley Long episodes until like more recently when I kind of started like cycling through them again on Netflix.
Yeah, I remember as a kid like watching it, but it took me a while before I realized that Diane and Rebecca were not on at the same time.
Yeah.
So I didn't really notice, like, Rebecca stood out to me more than Diane.
You had more of a memory as you got older, so you saw like the more recent ones. All right, so the episode that we decided to watch tonight, it's a season 8 episode.
We are in the Rebecca era.
Well into the Rebecca era. I believe this episode aired in 1990 originally, and it is called What is Cliff Clavin?
It originally aired January 18th, 1990.
Fun fact. And it guest starred Alex Trebek as himself.
Woohoo!
Our title character, Cliff Clavin, ends up on the game show Jeopardy. So we kind of get like a twofer in this week's episode.
Yeah, we got another twofer.
So like when we did Alf, we got that and Gilligan's Island. So tonight we get Cheers and Jeopardy. But there really isn't much to say about Jeopardy. Other than like Alex Trebek's mustache is like brown in this episode and not gray.
And he had a mustache.
That is true. Like I can't remember a time when Alex Trebek did not have gray hair.
So ingrained in us seeing him that way.
Yeah, he popped on the screen and I was like, holy shit, is that Alex Trebek?
I know, I was like, damn, he looks young.
I was like, is that a dead raccoon on his head? Alright, so my first thought on Cheers was I noticed that there's a lot of very like late 80s, early 90s type sweaters in this episode.
Oh yes.
Like all the male characters are just wearing these insane sweaters. Like Woody has like a faded graphic print sweater.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Malone is wearing like one of those Aaron sweaters, those like Aaron jumpers, those like Irish sweaters. They might have been like made out of wool or like a heavy cotton.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Like it looks like it's like hand woven, which I think those were all the rage back then. Like I have not seen one of those in a while.
I feel like sweaters were really, really big in the late 80s.
And I thought it was kind of weird for them to be wearing that at a bar, only because like usually like people in the food service will wear like pretty much all black.
Well, I think Cheers was a laid-back bar. They didn't have a uniform. Rebecca had tried several times to get them into ridiculous uniforms, but it didn't work. I remember there was like a barmaid type outfit. I believe she tried to get Carla to wear. You know, one of those, like, poly girl type outfits.
Or the TGI Fridays striped.
With your flair. Oh my, well, that's not that bad. I actually know of a bar where the waitresses dress up like old school Western saloon girls, so.
Is it like, it's a themed bar, I imagine then?
Well, sure, it's in an old hotel in a Western town that lives and breathes on tourism, so.
Deadwood?
No.
Now, alright, so the series takes place in Boston, and I've never actually been inside the Cheers restaurant. You can actually go to it, like the original exterior shot of it. It was originally called the Bull and Finch Pub. I've never stepped foot inside of there, but I've definitely walked beside it, like I've seen it.
Uh-huh.
And you see, like, people, like, are excited, and they, like, take photos of it from the, I call it the Cheers angle. It's, like, where the camera's, like, across the street diagonally.
Yeah, I would totally do that.
Yeah, you probably would. And, like, it just kind of...
I would. I'm that much of a dork. I would.
It's completely normal for me to see. Like, I don't even think of it anymore. And then, at some point, it actually became Cheers. Like, they actually renamed it Cheers. But I guess if you go inside it, it looks like... It doesn't look anything like the Cheers restaurant. But the guy who owned it, he was like, you know what? I want to create a replica of the actual Cheers restaurant. So they reopened another one, like, I think it was like 2002 or 2003.
Uh-huh.
It's in Faneuil Hall, and it's like, it looks different from the outside, obviously, but inside, it's like designed exactly like the TV set. I've never been in there either. But if you go on their website, I think it's like cheersboston.com or something like that.
Uh-huh.
The guy that runs it is basically just selling Cheers swag. It's like 30 years later, and he's still like hawking this shit. You can buy like...
Dude, I would totally buy that stuff if I went to Boston. I'd be like, I have to get something that says Cheers.
You can get like a tin of nuts. It's like Norm's Nuts or something like that. I was going through all the swag they have. You can buy like coasters. Well, I guess what was happening was that people were actually going in there and like stealing like stuff from there.
Yeah.
Because they wanted like a piece of Cheers history. And then the guy's like, you know what? People just keep stealing this shit, so we're just going to start selling it.
Yeah, you might as well sell it because they'll pay for it.
And then like the menu, it's like Sam's starters is like the appetizers, and it's like Diane's entrees, Mama Clavin's soups or something like that. It's like, it just looks completely tacky. So they basically just turned this bar and they themed it basically.
Obviously, this is where you should go spend your Saturday night.
You know what? Now that I've like completely researched it, I'm definitely gonna go check it out now.
I want to see tons of Instagram pictures.
All right, so in this episode, the cold open, we get a man walks into the bar. I know it starts off like a joke. A man walks into a bar, and he's like, "Oh my god, I haven't been here in 20 years." And he walks up to the bar, and Woody is working that day. He, like, doesn't ask him what he wants or anything. He just pours him a beer and hands it to him.
Yeah.
Who like, you didn't know what his intentions were. Like, you didn't know, is he an alcoholic? He just wanted to come in, like, go to the bathroom. And so he just, like, serves this guy, like, right off the bat. We learned that this guy, he used to live in Boston. He really loved the Cheers bar. He used to hang out there all the time. He got a great job in Alaska.
Alaska pays. If you're willing to move where it's dark and cold, they'll pay.
20 years went by, he had enough. He's like, fuck Alaska, I'm going back to Boston. I'm hoping that swanky bar down on Beacon Street, maybe, is where it is. It's still there. And he rolls in and he's like, you know, there's definitely similarities and there's things that have changed. Like, he's like, the stairs in the background, those used to go down instead of up, which is kind of weird. So they must have added like a second floor to Cheers at some point.
Or I think he meant that they like used to be like against a different wall. Like they used to start at a different point and go up at a different point. I don't know. It was weird. I was like, how do you move stairs? Why would you move stairs?
That's what I couldn't figure out. Like, I thought, like, was the staircase going into the basement originally? And then they were like, you know, we don't need a basement. Let's, like, make a second floor. But then I thought there was, like, a restaurant above Cheers that they always had.
There is. It's Melville's.
And they have, like, wars, don't they?
Yeah, they have. It's one of the Cheers rivalries.
Like, there's several bars that they have, like, rivals with.
Yeah, they're always, like, warring with Melville's or Gary's.
Which are both fictional, I guess. I've never heard of either of them.
I would believe so.
And then this old guy, he notices that the floor is different. They now have those, like, wooden panel floors. It used to be some kind of, like, green tile or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he comments that the wood paneling is different. And Woody's like, what wood paling? And he's like, oh, the one that's behind Norm over there. And then the camera cuts over to Norm just sitting there like chomping on a sandwich and reading the sports section.
Just drinking his beer like he does all day, every day.
Insinuating that Norm has not left there in like 20 years.
Well, Norm hasn't. Let's be real. Norm had claimed that seat long ago, and he is not going anywhere.
In the Cheers universe, he's probably dead now, I imagine, from alcoholism or something.
And if he is, he probably got cremated and had his ashes stuffed into his bar stool.
Yeah, I think my grandfather, there was a bar in like Boston that he used to always go to when he was like younger and into his adulthood. And then when he eventually passed away, I believe they memorialized the chair for him. So I imagine they did the same for Norm. If he's still out there, who knows? Who knows? So then we cut to the theme song, the familial classic theme song where everybody knows your name.
One of the greatest theme songs ever.
I love the actual like still pictures of the Cheers restaurant through the years from like 1895 through the present day, I guess.
Oh yeah, I loved that. I always loved that opening when I was a kid.
Who is your favorite character from the opening?
I would say it's the one that comes up for Kelsey Grammer.
I like the one where I think it's when the logo pops up and it's the girl in the green dress with like the feather hat.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the guy at the very end, too, the smirking guy.
Oh, yeah, I love that guy.
You're going to have to refresh my memory. Who comes up for Kelsey Grammer?
It's like a guy in a brown suit with a bowler cap.
Oh, yeah, okay. I remember him. So you get Cheers through the years. I always thought that they should end on, like, the cast somehow, but they never seem to do it.
Yeah, when I started thinking about it, I was surprised that they didn't.
I always felt like they did, but I guess they didn't. All right, so we come back from the opening credits, and we're in the bar. I believe Woody and Sam are working, right?
Yeah, Woody and Sam are working, and the phone rings, and it's a woman, and she's saying, "Why didn't you come meet me? I was at the roller rink in the French cut panties and the miniskirt, and screw you, Sam Malone." She hangs up, and Sam's like, "What the hell is going on?"
I believe before Sam gets on the phone, Woody is the one who answers the phone, and he goes, "It's Carmen." Sam's like, "As in Carmen, get it?"
All these awful, like, nicknames for these women that Sam has vetted.
In real life, Sam Malone would probably be, like, the hugest D-bag in real life.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But for some reason, in the show, he's, like, charming, and you're like, oh, Sam.
Yeah, like, it's interesting if you compare Sam Malone to, say, Barney Stinson. Both are guys who sleep with lots of women, but they're looked at very differently.
That is true.
It might be their tactics, though, too, because Sam just hits on a woman. Normal guy would, "Hey, what's up, baby," or whatever. But Barney uses these ridiculous tactics to get a woman into bed.
I feel like Barney Stinson is, like, trapping women.
Yeah.
Like Elmer Fudd, like, putting the box with the carrot.
Yes, exactly.
Sam Malone is just, like, he just wants to get laid, basically, is his end game. And
He's a hot guy. He doesn't want to settle down, and these women are attracted to that. So he goes for it.
You know, he's kind of like a local celebrity, too, because was he a former Red Sox pitcher, I believe?
Yes, he was a former Red Sox pitcher.
All right, so we're like 8 seasons in, and he's still referencing that in this episode.
Have you ever met a former baseball player? They will reference it. It will come up in conversation.
All right, so do you know, are you talking like professional baseball player or?
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you know?
I don't want to say.
Okay. What team? Name the team.
Cardinals.
Okay, so you know someone that played on the Cardinals. What year?
80s.
Oh, okay, so this is going way back.
Yeah.
All right, I might have their baseball card somewhere.
Yeah, so it came up in conversation like multiple times. Mostly because what they were doing was still involved with having been a former baseball player.
Like, was he like a manager or like a sportscaster?
No, but like he still would run like baseball camps for kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, because like where do you go from there?
It's like, well, why should these kids come to your baseball camp? It's like, oh, because I played on the blah 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 Cardinals back in blah blah blah.
Did he retire gracefully, or did he just get like ejected from the team like Sam Malone did?
I think it was graceful. I'm not 100% sure.
It was a graceful exit, because I believe Sam Malone was kicked off the team for being a drunk.
Yes, I believe so.
He hit rock bottom. You know, he was a town hero. You know, Boston prides itself on its sports. He fell on hard times, and, you know, he's like, you know what? Instead of just, like, drinking alcohol, I think I'm going to serve alcohol for the rest of my life.
Yeah, he's a recovering alcoholic, and here he is owning a bar.
I'm going to surround myself with my weakness.
I never understood that.
No. I think maybe it was a joke. I don't know. And so he's at the bar. You know, is he the manager, or does he share it equally with Rebecca? I can't quite...
Well, he owned it, but then he sold it. And that's when Rebecca came in, because he sold it after Diane left him. And then Rebecca managed it, and Sam just worked it. But then he got the bar back, and he hired Rebecca. And
Rebecca worked for, like, some, like, evil company, right? That owned the bar?
Yeah.
So, like, they were trying to, like, franchise it or something, and...
It was huge conglomerate. Own a million different little companies. And, like, it doesn't make sense why they own, like, a bar in Boston and a factory in Milwaukee or something like that.
Maybe it was a front for something. Like, they were selling, like, they were, like, running guns or something.
I think there might have actually been one of the guys that was big in the corporation was actually, like, busted for tax fraud. It was some guy Rebecca was into.
The 1990s version of Al-Qaeda?
No, I don't think it was that.
It was just, like, crazy conspiracy. Imagine, like, if they ever remade Cheers, that's what it would have to be. It would have to be, like, some huge front for something.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so Sam Malone gets this mystery call from this woman, Carmen, and he's kind of like, he kind of recognizes the name. He's like, why is this girl in a, was it French cut panties and a miniskirt being stood up at the roller rink named Carmen?
Yeah.
Like, wait, I need to check my black book. He's like, my little black book. Bear in mind, this is before the age of, you know, cell phones, so you didn't sync your contacts to, like, every device and every website that you were connected to. So you actually had to obtain people's information, write them down into, like, a little address book, and just pray that, like, your house didn't catch on fire or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you gotta have this book. Like, I remember my mother had an address book, and it was like this thick thing, and the names would be crossed out and re-entered with their updated information when people moved or changed their phone number or whatever.
It was a hassle. Like, just thinking about it gives me anxiety, because it was so hard to, like, contact people. Like, you can only reach someone when they're, like, at home. So Sam's little black book is missing. He can't find it. Frasier is in the bar, and he's like, well, why don't you retrace your steps? And he's like, all right, so I woke up this morning, I removed the black book from my safe, then I inputted it into, like, the waterproof case that I carried around with, and then I went to the laundromat. And he's like, oh, the laundromat. So he's like, that's where it's going to be. So he, like, runs out of the bar. All right, so actually, before Sam freaks out and takes off to the laundromat, though, he yells for everyone in the restaurant to freeze. And, like, literally everybody stops moving. And there's, like, one guy still, like, sipping his beer. And he just starts screaming at that guy. He's like, I told you to freeze. Like, if you were in a bar and someone yelled freeze, the first thing I would think is that the place is getting held up.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh shit, who did something stupid?
And then Sam locks the door, and he's like, all right, I'm going to shut off the lights. So now you're like, what the fuck? So this guy just told everyone to freeze. He locked the door and shut off the lights. He shuts off the lights, and he goes, whoever took my black book, return to the bar right now. And he waits, like, 1 second and then turns the light back on.
Yeah.
Like, not enough time for, like, someone to think about it. Like, should I do this?
Do I give up the power I have with this little black book?
Like, what do they think? Like, you're just going to randomly call this person, and they, like, a woman's going to answer the phone and be like, oh, I've been waiting for you to call me.
It's like, oh, Sam, I've been waiting for you. And, like, she's not going to know you're not Sam. Yeah, if she has more than a star next to her name, she has met Sam Malone.
All right, so, like, even if, like, she was fooled by the voice on the phone, when she would go to meet this man, it would be a completely different person.
Like, who are these women that put on these panties and miniskirts and go to a roller rink? Like, why would you go to a roller rink to meet Sam Malone? You would go to Cheers, because if you know Sam, you know he works at Cheers. Like, am I wrong in thinking that?
Yeah, and I Googled this. There's no roller rink in Boston, by the way.
There could have been in 1990.
I doubt there was a roller rink in Boston in 1990. So now Cliff Clavin arrives into the bar. Mm-hmm. He's carrying, he has a bunch of books in his hand.
Yeah, he's like loaded down with books to study because Jeopardy is coming to Boston for a one-time only East Coast appearance. Woo!
And Woody grabs him a beer. And, alright, so, a few things here. It's really hard to figure out what time of day it is whenever you're in the bar. Yeah. But I'm assuming it's, like, daytime. Only because Cliff is in his, like, mailman outfit.
Cliff is almost always in his mailman outfit, though.
It's like, so I'm always just like, is he drinking after work, or is this, like, a lunch break?
Well, he is a postal worker. But I think it's more late afternoon, so he's probably, like, finished his route.
Yeah, that's possible.
Stay in the bar with Norm, because Norm is always there.
Yeah, it's definitely a day shift, though, because, like, Norm's in his, like, work attire, I guess.
Whatever that is when he actually has a job.
Is it established of what Norm's job is, ever?
He is trained as an accountant, but he also does house painting.
Okay.
He's never really employed, that's why he's always trying to get free beer.
So we then learn that Cliff is going to be on Jeopardy. He has a test. We then quickly learned that Cliff aced the Jeopardy test. And Rebecca now wants Cliff to, like, come up with, like, funny banter or blurbs while he's on Jeopardy that he can mention about the bar because he's always at Cheers. So everyone kind of, like, adds in. So Norm's like, oh, you can make up the time that we had the bad keg of beer and everyone got sick. And Carla's like, how about the glow-in-the-dark fungus in the men's room? And then Woody's like, how about the dead possum on the steps?
At least I hope it was a possum. I hope a rat can't get that big.
Now, my first thought was, is this like a city possum?
Yeah, do you have possums?
There's definitely possums here in the suburbs. Like, there's possums, like, where I live, but you never see them. Like, only at night, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you're going to see a possum in the actual city of Boston, though. Maybe in, like, the public gardens. Yeah, you know what? Actually, Cheers is right across the street from the public gardens. Now that I think about it.
So it could be.
All right, yeah, that could be possible. So basically, Sam returns from the laundromat right here. He's out of luck. He asked Woody to check the lost and found contents one more time. Woody pulls out an umbrella, like a bunch of pairs of unmatched gloves, and he finds his socks.
Yes, because that makes so much sense. Why are his socks even in the bar? I don't understand.
All right,
but it's Woody, so I'm like, whatever. We have to break down Woody, because I'm trying to figure this out. He has like he has a slow drawl. Mm-hmm. He's like a few steps behind everybody else. Is he just like Midwest? He's from the Midwest, right? He's from Hanover, Indiana.
Hanover, Indiana. Do you know what's funny? Is they make a reference to Hanover in this episode.
Uh-huh.
At first, there's a town, Hanover, like 20 minutes from Boston, so that's what I always thought they were talking about at first. They made a joke about Hanover, and I'm like, are they making fun of the town Hanover? And I'm like, no, that would just, like, not work on TV. No one would get that. So, Woody is just, like, a functioning slow adult.
Yeah.
I feel like he wouldn't be a good job fit at Cheers in Boston, because it's like, Boston bars can get busy really fast. Like, you know, like, that's why I was, like, always wondering what time of day it was, because, like, the bar never seems to be, like, packed with people. You know, there's people on that side, there's people on that side, there's empty seats. So I'm like, it has to be the daytime. Because, like, even if you go out, like, at night, on, like, a weeknight, it fills up with, like, college kids with fake IDs.
Oh, I'm sure. That's how the bars in Durango are like.
But, like, you go to a Boston bar at, like, 3 in the afternoon, it looks like what Cheers looks like all the time.
That's probably a good idea around what time it is. It's probably, like, 3 or 4.
Yeah, could be right, like pre-work getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, Woody works the day shift because that's probably, like, the only thing he can handle.
Well, the thing is, Woody seems to be the only real thing Woody's good at is tending bar.
Like, and by tending bar, I mean just, like, pouring beer.
I think you almost never see them actually make, like, a complicated drink. Even, like, Snooty Fraser is drinking a beer.
And it's, like, there's only, like, one tap. So it's probably just, like, Bud Light. It's not, like, nothing. They don't have, like, a seasonal drink. They don't have, like, craft beers. It's just like...
Okay, to be fair, this is still like the 1990s. I don't think that stuff was very popular 24 years ago.
Yeah, but I still think there was variety, though.
Yeah.
Like, you can go for Coors, you can go for, like, Bud Light, maybe a Molson, Keystone, Miller.
Yeah.
Like, we have our local brews. We have, like, Sam Adams. Harpoon is big. So, like, they really try to push those in bars. Like, you know, they really want people to drink that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, like, any small town that has a brewery does that. Like, in Durango, there's several breweries, and there's a lot of bars and restaurants. They all have, like, the local stuff that they try to push.
But, like, I mean, I guess if you know your customers, though, like, you know that Norm's always going to get the same thing. So you just, like, pour on the beer. Like, Fraser, you know what? Like, I'll just drink it. I don't care. I'm kind of a snob, but whatever. I don't have to tell you what I want.
Yeah, like, if Norm doesn't order a beer, he thinks something's wrong, because obviously there is something wrong with him.
Yeah. Do you know what I noticed they didn't do in this episode? They didn't do Norm entering the bar and everyone yelling Norm.
That's true, but we did get the guy at the start who says the paneling changed right there behind Norm.
And do you know what I also love about... I was taking note of a lot of the extras in this episode.
Uh-huh.
They try to give, like, some extras, some lines. Like, you'll just have, like, occasionally just have, like, Cliff, like, talk to, like, a random person that might never be in another episode again. But, like, they want you to believe that it's, like, homey.
Yeah, it's like a bar. You'll notice on some of these shows, like, the same extras over and over again.
Yeah.
So it looks like the same people are hanging out at the bar.
And I notice everyone's always moving, too. Like, like Woody and Sam are, like, like, they make it seem like they're, like, helping customers. But in reality, they're just, like, walking back and forth, like, pacing the bar and just talking to each other.
I feel like Sam really doesn't do much at the bar. He just hangs out behind the bar and drinks, like, ginger ale or a club soda or something every once in a while.
And gathers phone numbers for his little black book.
Yeah, and Woody does most of, like, the beer pouring.
Woody was the only one who poured beer in this episode. Maybe Rebecca, too. Actually, Rebecca pours a beer, like, later on.
Yeah.
So Sam comes back from the laundromat, and, you know, he lucks out. And then the phone rings again.
Uh-oh.
It's Annie this time. Norm, he's trying to, like, mimic Sam, and he's like, you mean anytime she wants? And nobody laughs.
It was bad. Oh my gosh. These poor women.
And then, all right, so
who
then,
are
like,
ridiculous enough to sleep with Sam in the first place.
So now, this is the second time that Sam's gotten yelled at by a woman on the phone who's been stood up at a roller rink wearing French cut panties and a miniskirt. So he's like, wait a second. This guy is using my little black book. And he's like, he's going through the A's, the B's, the C's. We're going by last name. So I guess Annie's last name began with a G. So he's like, so somewhere out there, there's like dozens of women at the roller rink wearing French cut panties and a miniskirt. Just like waiting for their date to show up. And all of a sudden, like, all the men just look at each other and just run out of the bar, including
it's
Sam.
Like, all of a sudden, there are so many men in this bar. Like, you don't... I think it's because of how big it is. You don't realize how many people are really in there until they're all, like, they all start going for that door. I was like, damn, there's a lot of guys in there. Holy crap.
Even Sam runs out of there. He's like, I didn't bring my car. Who's going to drive me?
Yeah.
Now, the funniest thing is really, like, 20 men just, like, bounced on their checks, like, on their tab. So, like, Woody just did not get tipped for, like, all the work that he just did.
Yeah.
I'm like, unless he knew everybody. He knows Norm.
The regulars.
He knows Norm. He knows Fraser. Like, they're good. They're good for the money. You know, they'll come back. But, like, you don't know if there's, like, strangers in there that are never going to come back.
Yeah. Or maybe because they were sitting at the tables, they paid Carla as they ordered. Yeah,
but you don't really... That's a tough thing to do, though. Like, at the bar, maybe, like, you'd pay as you go. But, like, at a table, you don't really want to do that. Because, like... That way you have to keep coming back with cash and stuff like that and making change. And you got to think of the logistics here. So
I'm sorry, it's been a while since I actually hung out in a bar.
So the only one who basically stayed behind, I believe, was just Woody and Norm. I think Norm stuck around. Or for some reason it's later on. I don't know if this is just after everyone bailed, but Woody's now wondering who's going to see Cliff at Jeopardy. So I believe Norm, Woody... and Fraser. And Fraser's like, I can't go. I gotta hang out with Lilith tonight. The only reason Woody wants to go to Jeopardy is just so he can, like, see the Jeopardy ball explode, break into a million pieces, and, like, float away, like the opening graphics. Like, this is Jeopardy. He's that slow that he just thought, like, that happens, like, on the set.
Yeah. And that's when Frasier asks if there's, what was it, a power plant where he lives?
Yeah, Frasier's like, did you live near a chemical plant?
Yeah, the chemical plant.
And Woody's like, yeah, it was right next to the landfill and the reservoir.
And Frasier just kind of goes, okay, that explains everything.
So Sam's now back from running to the roller rink, and he's still worried about his black book. And I believe Norm that comes up with the idea? He's like, why don't you just set up a trap to, like, catch this guy? Like, we already know that he's going through your alphabet, like, A, B, C, D,
like,
E, F, G.
Okay, where is he and who's up next? And they figured out that it's H. And Sam's all like, okay, who do I know whose last name starts with H? And he's thinking, and Rebecca walks by, and Woody goes, hi, Miss Howe, because he's, like, the sweet little polite guy who always calls her Miss Howe. And Sam is like, jackpot.
Sam's like, I have a favor to ask. He's, like, cashing in all his chips. Rebecca's hesitant at first. She's like, why am I in your, like, bimbo book? Is basically
why am I in the big book of bimbos?
Carla really wants to, like, nab this guy. So Carla, she pretends that she has the dirt on Rebecca. So she's just like, well, Rebecca, I do know some stuff about you. She's like, you don't want me to tell everyone about that time that I overheard you. And, like, Rebecca just immediately, like, shuts her up. She's like, no, yeah. She's like, you need to stop talking right there. And so she agrees to it. And Norm's like, what kind of dirt? Like, this sounds juicy. He's like, what kind of dirt do you have on Rebecca? She's like, oh, nothing. I'm bluffing. I just, like, pulled this, like...
But you gotta wonder, what is Rebecca's secret?
Yeah. And then, so Norm's like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. And he uses that to get free beer. Because he's like... I think he asks Rebecca for a drink, and she's just like, all right, pay up, Norm. And he's like...
Yeah, because the thing is, Norm never pays his tab.
Yeah. And Norm's like, Rebecca, do you want me to tell people about the time that, what me and Carla overheard earlier? And she's like, enjoy your free beer, Norm. All right, so then we cut to Jeopardy. And it pretty much is just like the actual Jeopardy set. It's supposedly they, like, moved it to Boston, but, like, even when, like, in real life when, like, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, like, travels, the set always looks a little bit different, which is how you know this is just, like, the Hollywood version of it. But, for television's sake, we have to believe that it's a special Boston edition of the classic game show. Now, I love the contestants. All right, so we get a neurosurgeon, a lawyer, and then Cliff Clavin, the mailman.
Yes.
And, like, the way, like, Alex pronounces, like, oh, no, not Alex, the announcer. Is it Johnny, what's his name, Johnny Gilbert?
I think so.
He announces his name. It's like, we have a neurosurgeon who practices medicine at Mass General Hospital and has saved 100 lives. And next we have a lawyer who is just, like, fighting crime. And he's like, and a mailman, Cliff Clavin.
Yeah, no love for Cliffy.
So Cliff Clavin is basically, he's like the know-it-all. He's just like the bar trivia guy. Just that
He's
person.
that guy who you today are just so thankful that you can pull up your phone and say, okay, Google, and ask a question and shut them down.
All right, so Woody and Norm are in the audience, and they're like, is Cliff wearing makeup?
Yes, of course he's wearing makeup. He's on TV. You have to. The lights and the cameras, you have to have, like, at least, like, a base coat of powder.
Yeah, because you don't want all those, like, blemishes showing and stuff like that.
Yeah, you don't want, like, your real skin to show, and the lighting is so harsh that it's just going to make you look like an absolute monster.
So they put on makeup. But Woody and Norm don't understand this. And, like, Woody's like, is he wearing makeup? And Norm's like, yeah. He's like, it's a special occasion. He's like, oh, great. All right, so the best is in the first round of Jeopardy, the categories. The Jeopardy categories.
The
Do you
greatest
have them?
categories ever. I have them.
Okay.
We have civil servants, stamps from around the world, mothers and sons, beer, bar trivia, and celibacy.
Norm's like, that's Mr. Clavin's dream board.
It really is.
And then so, like, there's no way he can ruin this unless he gets, like, too cocky. Alex Trebek is like, Cliff, you can pick the first category. And then Cliff's like, you can pick the one for me in any amount.
Yeah, he's like, whatever, you do it for me. I've got this.
So then we cut to now it's like Final Jeopardy. So the scores, it's like Cliff has $22,000.
Yeah.
The lawyer has like 3,300, and then the neurosurgeon has like no points. Basically, he has like 400 points or something.
Yeah, he's been like totally destroyed by Cliff.
Woody's like, there's no way he can lose. Like, he's going to win this. So the category is like movies. The clue is a little confusing. So I believe it's Archibald Leach, Bernard Schwartz, and Lucille Lasser in the category of movies.
Yes.
All right, so I guess it's famous movie stars like real names.
Yeah.
So the neurosurgeon gets it wrong. The lawyer gets most of it right. So I believe it is...
She had Lucille wrong. She put...
Lucille Ball. And it was Joan Crawford. I had the actual names, though.
Tony Curtis.
No, you got it. Tony Curtis, Cary Grant, and Joan Crawford. But the lawyer said Lucille Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And, she wagered most of her money, basically. But she had 400 points.
Well, they put the money wager down before they even get the question.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. As of right now, Cliff still has his $22,000, or his 22,000 big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex is like, there's no way you can lose unless you wagered, like...
everything.
Yeah, pretty much like everything. And his response to this is, who are 3 people who have never been in my kitchen?
Yep.
And he's like, well, obviously that answer is wrong. And he's like, and unless you made like the horrible mistake of like betting it all, then, you're a winner. And Cliff covers the scoreboard with his like coat jacket. Thinking let's just stop right here. I won. I won.
We're good. We don't have to look at my answer.
But before we even get to that point, before when they're still asking the question, he's trying to cheat and he's like, trying to look at the lawyer's answers on the board too.
And Alex Trebek totally calls him out.
Embarrasses him on national TV. Now, obviously they don't do like Jeopardy live, so like they would just obviously edit this out of post, much like our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So Cliff then basically has a nervous breakdown. And he's like, I still think it's 3 people who've never been in my kitchen. Just ask Tony Curtis. We can call him right now. He's like yelling at the camera. He's like,
still alive.
He's like, I'm the champion. I'm the champion. Call Tony Curtis. He's still alive. Call him. Ask him. Ask him. And we cut from there. And now we're back in the bar. The phone rings.
Yes.
Rebecca picks up the phone. She's like, cheers. Hello. And she's like, oh, Sam Malone. And like Sam's standing right next to her. So obviously we know it's the Black Book guy. So he's finally moved up to the H's. And she's like, what should I do? And Sam's like, just, pretend you're like the way that a lady would when they talk to me. And she's like, oh, sorry, I was talking into the wrong end of the phone. I'm so silly.
She just total this thing. It was awesome.
So instead of going to the roller rink, because she says that she's not a great skater, she invites the guy to Cheers. She's like, you've heard of the bar Cheers, right? Of course you have. I mean, who hasn't? Come down to Cheers.
I mean, you're Sam Malone. Of course you know where Cheers is.
And she's like, it's so hot, and I don't know how much longer I can keep my clothes on.
She just hangs up the phone.
Yeah, like she immediately just like hangs up the phone, and like Sam's like, all right, he's on his way. Like,
yeah, of course he is. He's calling women, trying to get them to dress all sexy.
Actually, I think Sam kind of got like turned on by the talk.
Sam was like, well, Rebecca.
And then Rebecca's like, please, Sam. She's like, a dial tone turns you on. Then Cliff comes back. He comes like running into Cheers. He's like announcing, he's like, I'm a loser. Oh, I can't believe I blew it. I'm such a loser. And like everyone's sympathetic to him and stuff. And then he's like, I can't believe I lost on Jeopardy. And this guy's like, wait, you were on Jeopardy? He's like, wow, that's amazing.
Obviously that guy wasn't hanging out earlier.
No, he was just like the random extra from earlier in the episode. He's just a random extra that showed up. Who I noticed who also had a faded graphic print sweater on.
But of course.
Yeah. So then like a 16-year-old kid comes running into the bar. Like a teenager. And he's looking for a girl in a black miniskirt. Sam realizes and he's like, oh, are you Sam Malone? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, who are you? And he's like, pulls his wallet out and shows him his like license. And he's like, oh, you're Sam Malone. He like tries to take off, so Sam Malone grabs him by the jacket, throws him in the chair, and he reclaims his black book.
Mm-hmm.
Reclaims the black book. He pulls out his like waterproof pouch.
And he puts the black book in it. It was crazy.
I'm sure he gets like pushed into the ocean a lot. Maybe a lake.
Maybe a puddle.
Yeah. So then Rebecca comes stomping over. She's like, is this the gross man who's just like standing up women all over town? And Sam's like, that's him. He's the one who stole my black book. And she's like, I want to know why, young man, that you're just ignoring all these women. And then he's like, well, I'm just a young guy. I can't find anyone that likes me. And she's like, oh, that's so sweet. Like right away, like basically like just throwing herself at a teenager.
Yeah. Rebecca, let's be real, was kind of desperate though.
Yeah. And then she's like, wait, I just want to know, like, why did you think that you could land me? And he's like, well, there was only one star next to your name. And Sam's like, what? The first star is free. You got to earn the rest. And Rebecca storms off. And Sam basically decides that he wants to become a mentor to this guy. He's going to turn him into a babe hound.
Yes, a babe hound.
Which is just like the most 1990th thing you could ever say to somebody.
Yeah, probably.
And Sam's like, you don't always start out a babe hound. A full-blown babe hound. You got to be a babe pup first. And he's like, I know what you need. Here's $25. Go get yourself a haircut.
Yeah.
And tip the shampoo girl. And he's like, sure
and
thing.
Start with girls your own age.
Yeah. He's like, and sure thing, Mr. Malone. And then Rebecca calls him, you're just a regular old Father Flanagan. And he's like, well, what can I say? I'm the legendary Sam Malone. And he has his Boston Red Sox jacket on.
Yeah.
And then, for the ending, guess who shows up at the bar?
Wait, hold on. Who is Alex Trebek?
Yes. Alex Trebek shows up. He's just, he just filmed probably 12 episodes of Jeopardy in a row because they always just do a marathon of them in one day.
Yeah, they probably film 6, 8 episodes a day.
He just did a marathon filming of Jeopardy. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to roam the streets of Boston. And he just stumbles upon chairs. Cliff thinks that he's specifically looking for him.
Yeah.
So Cliff's like, oh my God, it's Alex Trebek. And Alex is like, oh, he remembers him. Oh, this is the loser.
How can you forget Cliff Clavin?
Yeah, he's like, this is the loser from Jeopardy. But before that happens, Carla hits on Alex. What is Carla's deal? I don't quite know it.
I think she's single at this point. She's had a ton of kids with a couple different guys. She has the ex-husband who is the sleazeball who shows up every once in a while, and she had a bunch of kids with him. She had kids with she had a kid with one of Frasier's colleagues, and it's her smartest kid. The kid's a genius.
She's very fertile.
Yes, and she had another set of twins with a former hockey player.
She basically wants to breed game show hosts right now.
Pretty much.
She's like, you know what? I want to breed a game show host. I hope he has a mustache when he's born. Alex basically then he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of this. So he storms off. This is when he bumps into Cliff.
Yeah, this is when he bumps into Cliff.
Yeah, and then, so he's like, you know what? The only way I can possibly get out of the situation is I gotta just make up this lie to Cliff. So he reveals to Cliff that he's been conflicted ever since his Jeopardy episode was filmed.
Yeah.
He's now looking at life differently. He's like, you know what? He's like, I think you're right. Philosophically, those are three people who have never been in your kitchen. He's like, there's not always just one answer to life. He's like, there's rights, there's wrongs, but there's also ups and downs. And he's like, I'm questioning my life now. He's like, I think I have to leave Jeopardy. He's like, there's just no way in hell I can just do this show anymore. He's like, you just trumped my entire existence. And Cliff's like, what? No, you can't leave Jeopardy. Mm-hmm. Jeopardy is America. Jeopardy is this sewn United States Postal Service patch sewed onto my shoulder. That is what Jeopardy represents. And Alex is like, yeah, I guess you're right. Right off the bat, yeah, I guess you're right. You know what? I'm going to stay on Jeopardy. Cliff's like, I think I just saved Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I saved Jeopardy. He's like, I got to call Ma. And he runs over to the payphone. And then Norm's like, wow, I can't believe you were going to quit Jeopardy. And he's like, I just came here for a bear and I just happened to run into Cliff. He's like, honestly, I'm just like frightened of the guy.
Who wouldn't be? After the show Cliff put on during Final Jeopardy, who wouldn't be scared of that guy?
Yeah, like I
Plus,
feel
he's
like
a postal worker, and I feel like this was around the whole postal thing.
yeah, like is there ever an episode of Cheers where Cliff actually goes postal?
I don't think so.
Maybe like a deleted scene, not even on a deleted DVD scene.
Maybe.
I mean, technically, Cliff Clavin freaking out on Jeopardy could be him going postal, because like that was pretty
that's
threatening.
what
Like he like
yeah.
he was cheating. Like he in the Jeopardy world, like the game show world, that's like felonious right there.
Yeah,
He like
you don't get away with that.
that's like 22 grand that he was 22,000, not even 22 grand, $22,000 that he was trying to swindle out of King Syndicated or whatever the company is that runs Jeopardy.
Merv Griffin or something.
Merv Griffin Enterprises. Cliff Clavin is kind of an evil person.
Yeah, Cliff is delusional and crazy and creepy.
Definitely delusions of grandeur.
Oh yeah.
Like actually, a lot of the men in the show just have problems all across the board.
Oh yeah.
And
They're all guys hanging out in a bar like every single night.
that's why, and they found each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of does all have a happy ending in the long run. At the end of their miserable existence, they can just head back to the place where everybody knows their name, basically.
Where everybody knows your name.
So what did you think of the episode?
That's hilarious.
I know, in the last episode, you watched the Mr. Ed the Hunter, and you were like, I just want to watch like 10 more episodes right now. That's how I felt with Cheers. I was like, I want to go back to the very beginning, just like...
Yeah, the thing is with Cheers is you can always just drop in and drop out and come back and go back because it's so easy to watch. The relationships between most of the characters are pretty simple to figure out if you've never watched Cheers before, so...
Yeah, and other
it's
than
like a comfort show.
And other than like the switch up between Diane and Rebecca and the coach Diane, there really isn't that much like of a cast change up. Like it's just the same dynamic.
Like people might like get added, but like you have some who come and go, but like the main cast really doesn't, except for those two instances.
Yeah, and I believe like a chunk of everybody pretty much stayed to the very end. Like no one left the show other than Shelley Long and the guy that died, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
They also, and anybody who did leave were not like major characters.
Yeah, like you had people like drop in and out. Like I think like Lilith comes in and out for a bit.
Yeah, in the last season, like left to go live in the biodome or something.
Yeah, and she comes back to Frasier, and I actually think some of the other characters come back to Frasier. Like I think at some point, doesn't everybody?
Lilith, Diane, Sam, Woody, Norm, Cliff, like they all show up. I think the only one, I think maybe Carla didn't, or Rebecca.
Yeah, Kirstie Alley was probably like, I'm above this.
Well, she had other stuff she was doing. She did
Pier 1 import commercials.
For a while.
Are you kidding? She was busy doing Pier 1 import commercials.
She was doing what?
Pier 1 commercials, like the store.
Oh my god, I forgot all about those.
And she did have her own sitcoms, though. Veronica's Closet, Fat Actress.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's in a couple of movies, too, here and there.
Yeah, she did. Oh, she did a movie with Tim Allen for Richer or Poor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do remember. And now, I don't know what she does.
She had a show on TV Land. It got canceled.
Oh, that's right. And looking ahead, all right, so I think for the next episode, I think we should dwell into an hour long.
An hour long? Ooh.
Yeah. And I felt like I've picked the last two, so I think it's Lady's Choice this week.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Ooh, an hour long. Hold on, let's pull up Netflix and see what we can find. Okay, let's go way back to when mustaches were king and do Magnum PI.
Oh my god, I was gonna suggest Magnum PI, to be honest with you. I was on Netflix last night when I finished watching this episode of Cheers. Mm-hmm. That came up as a recommended pick, and I was like, we gotta do a Magnum PI at the end.
Yeah, let's do the first episode of Magnum PI.
All right, so you heard it. Join us next week when we watch the pilot episode of Magnum PI.
Bye!
What do I say at the end?
You say until next time, and then it just cuts off.
Oh, yeah. And as always, until next